What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 131 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
We're talking Unite today, so I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of you talking, because, to put it very bluntly, my body hates me and I feel awful.
Yeah. The new patch for Unite dropped early Friday morning, so I woke up stupid early to play Mew on the new patch to get a video out for Friday morning. And I love the new map. I love the changes to the game. A couple Pokemon seem a little too strong, which we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm super excited to kind of just geek out about the game that I like probably more than VGC.
To be fair, VGC is dead, so
that is also true. Yeah. This might become a little mini series depending on what we can get going here between Unite, TCG, and Go, just so everybody can kind of explore other things while VGC is dead and waiting in the wings for Scarlet and Violet to start.
Yeah, for sure. The big thing right now is just like trying to. It's really hard to try to balance content when the stuff that like we're known for isn't happening currently.
Yeah.
So we're going to do what we can and it'll be okay.
How I expect this to go is I'm going to geek out over Unite this week. You'll probably geek out talking about TCG stuff next week. And then for Go, we'll have no clue what we're talking about and have to try and find somebody.
Yeah. So I am pretty good friends with my LGS owners, seeing how my girlfriend like also works there. So I know my way around the TCG. I've played it for quite a while. Like not like hyper competitively or anything, but you know, I know my TCG stuff that I
you
need
know
to.
your stuff. You're not just spewing nonsense.
Like I don't know if it's actually on camera, but my bookshelf back here has when I got Tiff into starting to like open magic Pokemon cards and everything, she immediately went, I need everything.
Gotta collect them all, right? Gotta catch them all.
Correct.
The whole yeah.
So we started, I think it was technically with Darkness Ablaze was the first set that we really went hard on. And so then she's like, well, I need everything before it and then everything after it. So we have
good luck with base set.
She set the precedent to herself that it's going to be everything from base Sword and Shield forward. So like everything that's currently in standard, we can kind of slap together. Like in all actuality, we have enough where we could probably play a decent amount of whatever we wanted to, and cool. It's just fine. There's some stuff that we're missing, like we don't have all of our Arceus and all of our Arceus V-Star, but they're also hella expensive, and I'm not about to drop money on them.
Yeah, you'll get them when they rotate.
And like, sure, whatever. Her big thing is she just wants like one of everything. And I'm just like, no, you can't play with just one.
You gotta have a playset, right?
Correct.
You gotta get the playset.
It's like the lesser power Vs and V Maxes and V Stars, all those. So we're just getting one, but like all the commons and uncommons, yeah, sure, we'll get 4. We'll get 4 of each Rev Hollow. Why not? It's
might as well add to the collection. So now you've got a nice bookshelf full of cards.
We'll talk, I'm sure, a lot more about it next week, but there is the Malamar deck that's currently in standard.
Yep.
We have it about as fancy as you can possibly get.
Nice.
Just because like it was one that I really liked playing, and I got it like when we first built it, it was like a super budget deck for Tiff, and it was like $30 for the entire deck. And then, you know, my little goblin brain went, but I can make it shiny.
Yeah, shiny things are good. Yeah, so, I know. I'm literally the person with foil dredge sitting on the wall. I know.
So, all of the supporters are full arts. All the Pokemon, of course, because it is a super budget friendly deck, all the Pokemon are Rev Hollows. Just anything and everything in the deck is foiled. Her and I have both come to the conclusion that we don't like golds. So, like, we're not going to ever gold out a deck, even though they look better. Because it doesn't match the rest of the deck.
Yeah.
But, like, there's the Trainer Gallery Octilleries. Just like, yeah, those are full arts. We're going to play them.
Yeah, might as well.
So, like, it's really cool. And obviously we'll talk about it a little more next week and everything, where I'll have data to back up, TCG stuff and all that. But, yeah. So let's talk some Unite. This is your bread and butter.
So, where do you want to start? Because I know you haven't played the game in a very long time.
When did Blissey come out?
Last year.
All right, cool.
Pretty
That's the last time I played.
So I believe there's been, what is it?
Let's see. Okay, looking here at the Pokemon that are out.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's like 11 Pokemon that have come out since you've played.
15, 16.
Are you trying to
17,
pick out the ones that you've seen?
18, 19, 20. If I'm counting correctly, there's 20 that I have never played with. But I feel like that's probably not completely accurate.
There's a lot. We haven't added that many to the game. There's a lot that were here that you haven't played with that were already just still in the game to begin with. But like, I think after Blissey, you've missed Aegislash, Azumarill, Buzzwole. I'm not sure if you were here for Decidueye or not. I know you missed Delphox. I know you missed Dragonite. I know you missed Duraludon. I don't remember if you were there for Gardevoir. Gardevoir was real early.
I think Guardy was like one of the last ones.
You weren't there for Glaceon. You weren't there for...
I have the complete list of Pokemon by release date. Guardy and Blissey were the first two added. Then there was Blastoise, which I played a little bit when Blastoise came out, but I never bought it. You did.
Yeah, I was a big Blastoise fan on release and still am.
I think I own Mamo. I think. I could be wrong.
Mamo's a fun one.
Everything past Mamo I don't have. So, Sylveon Greedent, Decidueye, Serena, Dragonite, Trevenant, Azu, Espeon, Delphox, Glaceon, Buzzwole, T-Tar, and now, of course, Mew as well.
Yeah.
So, a handful that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
In fact, I could probably tell you if my game is actually up to date or not.
It's very likely not.
Let's find out together.
Well, while you're doing that, for those that are also maybe returning to the game for the first time, a lot has changed since probably you first played the game. The big things that we got out of year 2 are the new map, which is awesome. The new map is great. And then the just general changes to some Pokemon and how Unite moves work is a big change. There's a whole lot to cover and go over. So we might not touch on every single thing that had changed, but we'll try to get all the important highlights out of the way.
Come talk to me in 8 minutes.
I figured it'd be a while. So I know you were a Talonflame main way back when.
I love Talonflame. Cinderace was sick. Zera was really cool. I owned Garchomp. It was like one of the more expensive ones that, like, when it first came out at launch, it was really, really expensive. I played a little bit of Pikachu. I think I have Charizard and Gengar. I think I also have Snorlax. There's a bunch of them there at the very beginning. I'm just like, it was about the time last year when it first came out that I had, like, through my health insurance, I can do these things to earn points throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to use your points by the end of the year, otherwise they just fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I think 3,000 points you can get a $100 gift card. So I just cashed out 2 of them for, like, Amazon points and just, like, dumped $100 into Unite.
I mean, hey.
I have nothing better to do with this money, and now I don't touch it, so...
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about MOBAs is they may be free up front, but they are just like money pits down the road. So the longer you play, the more money you're going to put into them. It's just natural. You could free to play the entire game. It is designed to do that, which it's even better now that they've made a couple of tweaks to how energy rolls work and things like that. There's actually like means to an end in this case. So we're going to probably ignore most of the big Pokemon changes outside of Mr. Mime down here, who is a Pokemon that was really, really cool, but never really was a support. For those that played Mr. Mime back in the day, he's got a completely reworked kit for the most part. I believe the light screen barrier are mostly the same outside of the fact that they now stun on placement. That's a real quality of life change there. Your boosted attack's different. It's now like every 5 seconds charge instead of just like you stacking it up and then hitting them. I feel like that's a good quality of life change too. The big things that Mr. Mime did, and the things that they're probably going to walk back a little bit, Power Swap and Psychic, pretty much both got completely retooled. Power Swap is insanely strong. It's on the level of broken, I would say. You become a drain tank, essentially. You sit there and you throw it on an opponent and you heal off of them. It slowly damages them while also slowly healing you. And if they don't break the tether, it's never broken. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. Which I feel like that will change eventually. It slows them down. You get to stay on top of them, essentially, so it's harder for them to get away. Every half second is a tick for this thing, and it'll tick forever. Like, I feel like this is probably the biggest change in the game. So if you're going to pick up a support and you're like looking at the game from outside, pick up Mr. Mime. That's your Unite tip for the day. Start learning Mr. Mime.
I don't think I own Mime, actually. Again, talk to me in 4 minutes.
Outside of the Mr. Mime rework, which this means that we'll probably get rework for other Pokemon in the future, which is a good thing in my book, seeing that most of the time they're not like people and like are excited for this kind of stuff, but game developers usually don't retool their characters very often. Unite is not even that old, and the fact that we're already getting a reworked character shows that they are very in touch with their game and they're like wanting the best things that they can get out of it.
And like, that was something like when the game first came out, it's just like, man, this Pokemon kind of sucks. We should probably do something. Like, over time they were very active about putting out patches and everything. And like looking at the patch notes here, we have release patch was 1.1.1.4, and now we're up to 1.7.1.2. I don't understand how they number their patch notes, but I'm not going to question it.
I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it either. I believe it's just like how they want to consider dev releases. I know the 1.6 patch, I believe, was the first Emblems patch.
Maybe?
Yes.
I think
1.6.1.2 is the first Emblems patch.
Okay.
So that might be how it is. It's just like 1.1.1.1 whatever is the very first build of the game. 1.2 adds something, 1.3 added something else, 1.4, 1.5, so on and so forth.
Okay, I mean that makes sense.
Looking at other things here on the patch notes, there's some held item changes. The big takeaway here is Floatstone is a little bit better. One of the big things about the new map is movement and getting around the map. Since it is larger than the previous map, there's more time walking between areas, and so that out of combat movement speed might be more important now than it was in Remote Stadium, where everything felt kind of close together. You could get from top to bottom pretty quick, even without Hoopa doing its Hoopa thing. You could rotate around the map fairly easily as a group pretty quickly, not have to worry about taking a bunch of camps in between, and you could get back and forth pretty quickly. Now it's hard to rotate from one point to another point unless you leave, and then your opponents get an advantage because they may not care about the rotation.
What does Hoopa do?
Okay, so Hoopa is probably the most nonsense support in the game. This Hoopa allows you to jump back and forth between the goal points.
Okay.
It also is a Pokemon that can send you back to spawn, and then you can come back via hyperspace hole.
Okay.
Hoopa is a weird one for sure. There's a lot of little niche things that Hoopa's really good at. Map rotations is one of them. You're able to kind of jump around the map, rotate very quickly, go from top to bottom pretty quick, much faster than you would be doing like walking and things like that. And I expect Hoopa to probably be a mainstay in this new map too, just because it gets you across the map faster.
Yeah, it seems very, very good.
Yeah. Outside of all of that, other Pokemon I think that are going to do well on the map, any kind of Pokemon that used to get gatekeeped by experience, things like Garchomp, Mamoswine, Gardevoir, things like that, because there's more experience on the map to take. You're not as worried about not getting your level 5, not getting your level 9, and it's much easier to hit those level breakpoints rather than you're stuck at level 5 or level 6 because you got ganked one time and died, right? Like now there's other experience to grab on the map a little bit. At least it's a little bit easier to grab on the map.
Okay, so talk to me about this emblem system they've put into place.
Okay. What do you want to know?
What good is it? Like, okay, so coming from a very limited knowledge of League of Legends in the olden days, they had their rune pages.
Mm-hmm.
And as a beginner, it felt very impossible to be on the same skill level as someone who's been playing forever. Not only as having an actual skill difference, but because I don't have access to these rune pages that they've maxed out, I'm automatically at a disadvantage there.
Yeah.
Is that translate well to this, or is this something that's going to prohibit people from picking up the game from playing immediately?
So you don't need emblems to win the game.
Okay.
Is the big takeaway here. Emblems are beneficial. They do help out, especially in the master ranks, but for the casual, low-ranked grinder, your emblems aren't going to mean a lot. The other benefit and difference between the Riot system that you're talking about, where it was the runes and the rune pages and all that, and this one is a lot of the bonuses come from color matching rather than just having a specific rune.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what 7 black emblems you have, right? They're going to give you that cooldown reduction no matter what, as long as they're all differently named.
Okay.
Which in the world of Pokemon, of these emblems, I believe there's currently, I think, 11 black emblems. Let me see here.
I can tell you. There are 12, it looks like.
12. See, I can just do it. I can pull it up right here and just look at it.
Yeah, there's Beedrill, Ekans, Arbok, Zubat, Golbat, Vileplume, Venomoth, Victreebel, Tentacruel, Grimer, Muck, and Gengar.
Yeah, 12. which they missed out on making coughing and wheezing also black. So, whatever on that one. I think they learned their lesson from the first set that, hey, we might have put too many black emblems in the game to start.
Well,
but they fixed a lot of the issues they had that would have plagued later on down the line, especially with this whole new system. They fixed the black emblems, so they're not as strong as anymore. They fixed some attack and crit and special attack emblems, so they're not as broken as they were. And they also gave us more pages, which you have to buy them, but you can buy them through coins, so the free-to-play still aspect is still there. So that's not as big a deal. I think it's about 6,000 or 5,800 or something, what's in the patch notes? 58? Yeah, 5,800 coins, which honestly isn't terrible. You can get that in a couple weeks. Especially with all the extra coins and tasks and things they do in the game. It's not hard to earn 5,000-6,000 coins in a couple weeks worth of playing. But if they're like, are they good for the game? It's kind of debatable. They're not, like I said, they're not necessary to play, so you don't have to have them. But like the master rank and then up and around that, they're very nice to have. Because those extra seconds, that little bit of customization you can get, helps you finesse your playstyle a little bit more. Like for me, I like having extra bulk on my Pokemon because I'm very aggressive when it comes to like going in and diving and things like that. So I tend to always play a little bit of extra bulk in my builds, and that's how I get it through there. It lets me live hits a little bit easier. I'm not taking as much damage. Whereas some people really value that cooldown, that special attack boost, want to deal as much damage as possible, and they'll lean into those black, green, and brown emblems more.
Okay.
The issue I've had with the whole emblem system is just the fact that it's a big old gacha game. I can't buy the ones I want.
Yeah, that seems obnoxious.
It's how they balance it, essentially. It's so you can only redeem 30 rolls in a day, 30 energy rolls in a day. And so you can't just get all the all the emblems and get ahead, because you're limited on how many you can get in a day.
Okay.
That is what balances it out between new players and returning players. Returning players probably had 700, 800 rolls saved up and didn't use them, but they could only use 30 a day.
Got it. Okay.
So even in 10 days, they've only done 300 rolls, and the average player can get probably 15 to 20 rolls in a day if they play for 6 hours or whatever over the course of the day, depending on what your energy output is like. But overall, it's not a terrible system. I just wish that I could buy the ones I want, because I know I told it to you before we started. I literally had all of set 1 before set 2 dropped, except for Tentacool and Tentacruel, and I do not own them. Still.
Awesome. Love that.
I've rolled 90 rolls since the new set drop. I still don't own them.
Sure, man.
So, Unite,
Sure.
Why are you doing me dirty? Let me get my Tentacool and Tentacruel emblems so I can finish that part of the set and not have to worry about it.
Because at this point, it's just funny.
Yeah, it's just hilarious at this point, right? Like, I don't need them because black's not busted anymore. It's not giving you 10% cooldown or whatever. It's only giving you 4. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of brings us to the emblem changes here. I'll kind of go over these kind of nice and neatly. Critical hit chance got a nerf. Black emblems got a nerf because those were probably the most 2 powerful emblem things you could be doing. Is the all crit builds, which was 10% crit rate at all 10 golds, all giving you 1%.
That seems obnoxious.
So you could essentially, I believe, you could get a total of 30% through items and emblems.
Yeah,
and
that
then there
seems
were
absolutely bananas.
there were certain Pokemon like Absol that have increased crit chance on certain moves, and so that whatever percent it was gets you get to add that extra 30 or whatever extra percent on top of it and just tear through people. When every second auto attack crits, it's so easy to just melt people.
Yeah, that seems just obnoxious, to put it very bluntly. Crits in this game, are they double damage?
I don't believe it's double damage quite exactly. It is, I think it's like 1.5 or something. I know crits ignore the defenses.
Awesome, love that.
Like, they just deal damage based on your, like, what they would do normally if you had no defense boosts or special defense boosts.
Alright, so this is just going off of the first website I found. It says, critical hits are the bonus damage added to your attack when you land a crit. When you land a crit, the damage dealt will be doubled. Again, this is just literally the first
I don't think that's quite right, because I have literally like done like seen these numbers like pop up like in big text when you do it, and I'm pretty sure 1000 is not double 600.
It's really close.
I'm pretty sure 650 times 1.5 is closer to 1000 than 650 times 2. But fixing the crit hit emblems was a good thing. They also were looking at fixing the cooldown, the black color emblems. Now instead of 2, 4, 8, you get 1, 2, 4 at 7, which is a real big change. You're essentially maxing out now at 5 black emblems instead of 7, like you would for the old system. Okay. So you only really want to play all 7 still, because that's going to give you the most cooldown for like your special attackers and whatnot. You're just not going to be able to have your abilities up all the time anymore.
Got it.
There were some Pokemon like Dragonite that got a couple changes just because it was being able to spam Dragon Dance all the time with the cooldown reduction emblems. And that ended up getting changed, so you can no longer do that.
Dragon Dance got a nerf, right?
So the cooldown for Dragonite's Dragon Dance went from 5 seconds to 5.5 seconds. This means that you aren't constantly stacking it anymore. You're not able to keep the stacks over and over and over through cooldown reduction like you were before.
Okay. And what does it actually do?
So Dragon Dance combos with your Hyper Beam. It stacks your Hyper Beam and gives you stage 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
So every time you use Dragon Dance, it gives you attack speed, an attack boost, and things like that. But it would also raise the damage that your Hyper Beam would do. Stage 0 currently does 0% extra damage, max HP damage. So it's just the flat damage that Hyper Beam would normally do. Stage 1 is now 5%. Stage 2 is 10%, and Stage 3 is now 20%, because that's like the max out point, and that's kind of your goal. A lot of these people were able to get to that 10% mark really quickly, and now it's not doing 15% of your health, it's doing 10%.
And do these go down over time? Do these stages just like deplete if you're not?
So it'll all fall off at once. So if you're not using Hyper Beam, it'll all just fall off. But that's why you just spammed Dragon Dance. You could keep it at stage 3 until you needed to use Hyper Beam.
Now I'm following. Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
I know you kind of touched on like the Unite move buff here, right? Am I misremembering?
I haven't mentioned it on here yet, but I think I mentioned it to you off screen.
Yes, we talked about it. I couldn't remember. I feel like we've been recording for like 6 hours. I am just so brain dead tonight.
Not quite, but close.
So it used to be that each Unite move gave like the same boost to every character, right?
Correct.
On top of whatever effect that their Unite move actually had.
Yep. So if I remember right, it was like movement speed, attack speed, cooldown reduction, and an HP shield when you used your Unite move. Mainly just to make them big, flashy ults and things like that. They still do that, but they're not like the same across the board anymore.
So is it now based on like what type of Pokemon it is?
So it's based on your role. So each Pokemon is assigned as a role, attacker, supporter, and things like that. Supporters will get more cooldown reduction, but they also get a little bit of other stuff. Defenders get that HP shield, but they get a little bit of other stuff. Attackers get attack speed a little bit more than normal, but they get other stuff. All-rounders are kind of just like, here's a bunch of this stuff across the board, but it's not as much as everybody else is getting from other stuff. And then speedsters get a move speed buff compared to the other stuff.
Got it. Okay.
It helps keep things like Charizard was a really good Pokemon with its Unite move, getting with that old buff. Mm-hmm. You got a big burst of movement speed. You got a real big boost of attack speed. You got to be this really bulky all-rounder because you got that shield. Your cooldown really didn't matter, but just being able to fly around and spam your auto attacks on things was really, really good. And the new Unite move buff being reducing some of that for Charizard has made it less of a problem, essentially.
Okay. So then I'm just kind of looking at the latest patch notes here. I figured, something we can do is kind of talk about like each changes to the Pokemon and like your opinion about it. Like,
that's fine if you want to do that, sure.
Cool. Let's see. It says the first thing here, we're going off of Unite/db.com/patch notes. I'm assuming this is just like the typical Unite database that has access to everything.
This is where we track pretty much the people who run this. Pretty much when they get the patch, they'll go through the practice system, track all the damages, try to track all that stuff down for us. Because Unite, when they release patch notes, they usually don't give us the flat numbers. They just tell you, hey, this changed. Hey, this changed. And so a lot of it is gathered through data mines and trial and error and looking at the numbers and trying to figure out what happened, why does it do this now, and things like that.
Cool.
So they do fantastic work. Go check them out.
So we've talked about the emblem changes here. We've talked about the Unite buff.
Yep.
So I guess now we can start going into like individual Pokemon buffs and nerfs and all that here. So
yeah, sure. I'll kind of lightning round this because a lot of this doesn't matter too terribly much, but some of it's pretty important.
Okay. Yeah, I figured I'll just read like the initial thing here, and then like if we want to go into like hyper specifics with like numbers and stuff, you can talk about those as we get there.
Sure.
So it says Buzzwole was a significant presence on release, then rapidly faded into obscurity. Getting a damaged steroid should help get his buggy muscles back on remote. What do you mean remote's gone? Okay, so I'm assuming remote's the old map.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it looks like pretty big damage buff here to Smackdown. It has a buff to its muscle gauge. What is this?
So Buzzwole, instead of having the standard normal, he has this bonus thing for muscle gauge, where if you hit certain moves, which for Buzzwole it is basic attacks on Pokemon, not wild Pokemon, on like enemy Pokemon,
okay,
or hits Smackdown, or I believe Superpower is the other one.
Okay.
No, Smackdown and Lunge. That's it. Smackdown, Lunge, and basic attacks all stack your muscle gauge.
Okay.
When you use Leech Life or Superpower, it consumes that muscle gauge for extra damage.
Got it. Okay, now I'm following. So your muscle gauge going from 1 to 2 means that your leech life then is going to do that much more damage.
Exactly. It's gonna do more damage when you do get that smackdown to land and do all that. Overall, these changes it's good for Smackdown. Leech life still feels underpowered because there's so many ways to get out of leech life.
Okay, elaborate.
So leech life is one of these moves that just will immobilize a target for a duration. And so they had to make it to where you're not just stuck in there constantly. So if you have ways to eject button, knock up the Buzzwole, like any kind of actual crowd control, it'll stop that leech life.
Got it. Now I'm following.
And because there's so many Pokemon that can do that, leech life still just feels underwhelming when you play it. Like, it gives you great sustain. They've reduced the cooldown on it, and the damage is better. But them being able to stop you or get away from you immediately is a problem. That's where the issues with leech life lie. It's not the damage, and it wasn't the cooldown. That was never the problem. The problem with leech life was Pokemon being able to just immediately get away from you because they hit their eject button. Or they dashed away when you went to hug. And while you did hit them with the hug, they were already gone, so leech life doesn't activate.
Okay.
The Smackdown changes are good, though. That's a real good quality of life. Because now you can do Smackdown superpower things.
Okay.
And you can literally take a Pokemon, grab them out of the fight, and just run off with them. You'll knock them in a direction with Smackdown. You'll reactivate to jump on top of them and smack them down into the enemy team. You'll then superpower the Pokemon you want to grab and bounce out.
That's amazing.
It is so much fun. You are literally the epitome of a WWE wrestler.
I love it. Moving on here, we have Cramerant. It says Cram had a significant uptick in play when CDR emblems hit, so worsening its cooldowns feels like an appropriate response. So I feel like this is actually a really huge downtick for Cramerant, losing all the... no, CDR didn't get nerfed, right?
The cooldown emblems did get nerfed, yes. That's the black ones.
Oh, black. Yep, you're right. So between that and then Cram's cooldowns going up seems pretty rough for it.
Yeah. The dive air slash build was pretty nutty. You could get around the map pretty quickly while just dealing massive damage to everything. You were real hard to get a hold of, and so this is a good change, I think, for Cramerant. People were still playing Cramerant with Hurricane and Surf, so like there's not like it's unplayable. You can still play Cramerant. It's just you're not going to be as obnoxious as the dive air slash builds were.
Got it. Machamp saw a lot of competitive play right up to, but not including Worlds. This nerf feels pretty reasonable and shouldn't be too detrimental to its success. Elaborate.
So
why was it good up to Worlds but not at Worlds?
Mainly due to the fact that the teams that played Machamp weren't winning with Machamp. Got it. Their Serena is a very good answer into Machamp. You kind of can just beat it up because Machamp's sitting there. You level up, you power spike faster on Serena than you do as Machamp because Machamp is one of those later evolutions. Whereas Serena, once you hit level 6, you're Serena. You have Stomp, you have Queenly Majesty. You just get to go nuts. And so Machamp kind of really couldn't keep up with that. Same thing as like it kind of couldn't keep up with Aegislash. Aegislash does the same thing. It levels up early. Once you hit 7, you have your full move kit for the most part other side of your Unite move. And so you can really just whip your way around through a team fight, whereas Machamp is still going to be a Machoke waiting to get into those fights. Got it. Okay.
Wigglytuff. Basic attack now deals physical damage. Wigglytuff cannot crit with moves. Rollout added an indicator to where rollout will bounce. You were kind of talking about this before we started recording.
Yeah.
The ability to remove crits from a like individual Pokemon seems really weird, but like after talking to you about it, it makes sense as to why they would do so.
Yeah. This is a change that I like. I like Wigglytuff being a physical attacking supporter. A lot of its attacks were physical based, like double slap, roll out. You have Dazzling Gleam, which no one really ever uses. Like Sing rollout is really, really good. So it makes sense to change it to a physical damage and then remove the crit option, because Wigglytuff's bulky as it is. You don't need someone sitting there building crit Wigglytuff, bouncing back and forth with rollout, hitting you 7 times or whatever it is, and knocking you out because you took 7,000 damage from rollout.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a good change. Because
Yep.
I know there was a non-zero amount of times where on the old map you could just bounce between the walls and just trap people, and it was hilarious.
Yep, you can do that still.
Okay, cool. Serena, mommy will step on you slightly less painfully. I feel like that in and of itself answers everything we need to know.
The change isn't super duper like impactful. Serena's still really, really good.
Yeah, it seems like it. What are these ratio numbers? What does that mean?
So Serena's AD scaling is insane. This is how much the ratio is how much of your attack damage gets added when determining the damage of the move.
Got it.
Which your attack scaling on Serena is nuts, and that's why you see things like attack weight Serena, attack weight in Ao's Cookie Serenas, because you want to stack those buffs up. You want as much attack as possible, and those are the items that give you the most attack throughout the game.
Okay. I feel it. I like it. I feel like, these are positive changes. Like,
Yeah.
Serena, very good. Serena, still good. Less potent.
Yeah, you're not going to completely 1v9 teams anymore, but you can still probably get away with them in a team fight.
Got it.
We talked about Dragonite already, if you wanted to skip it.
We talked about Dragonite. So that brings us to Glaceon. Let's see. Icicle Spear. Fixed a bug where the shattered Icicle Spear damage would linger after hitting its target. By linger, we actually mean accidentally dealing 30,000 damage.
So, for those that may not be aware, there was a bug on Glaceon's release that when the Icicle Spears would hit you, they shatter and deal splash damage to whatever's around them. If you got it set up correctly, you could get one of them to stick, and it would just nuke things.
Awesome. I love that.
I think Glaceon would have been allowed at Worlds if the bug didn't exist. I'm pretty sure that would have been the case.
Was Glaceon like actually factually banned?
Yes. So Worlds banned. Worlds didn't have emblems. Worlds didn't have Glaceon, T-Tar, or Buzzwole. But I think they would have allowed Glaceon had the game had it not been bugged.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Also, Icy Wind boost is really, really good.
It doesn't seem like that much of a boost, but a boost nonetheless.
Icy Wind is one of those moves that when it gets upgraded, it deals % health damage.
Got it.
So any boost to that is going to be good.
Okay. Delphox didn't see much play, so a little tickled to nudge people towards them. Probably shouldn't hurt. Just like CDR here on like Flame Charge.
Yeah.
Is that universal on Flame Charge, or is that specifically for Delphox?
That's specifically for Delphox.
Okay.
One of the things you'll notice when we talk about Unite stuff is a lot of the move names are the same.
But that doesn't mean it's the same move.
Yeah. With the addition of Mew, you can play All Surf.
Okay.
Because we have Blastoise, Cramerant, Mew, Slowbro. God, what's the other one? It's a Pokemon I don't play. What is it?
Azu?
No.
I'm out of water types.
Greninja. That's the other one.
Oh yeah, I forgot Greninja's in the game.
That's the other Surf. I'm like, there's one I'm missing, and it's the Pokemon I don't play.
Okay. Let's see. Espeon. Cooldown reduction to Psybeam. Cooldown reduction to Future Sight. Icy debuff. What does that mean?
So,
stored power.
So there are certain moves in the game that you get stacks stored, right?
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, stored power, stored power is one of those moves that stacks, and when it hits, now it's every 2 seconds instead of every 3 seconds, so it just deals a little bit more damage as it goes on.
Okay.
But all these Espeon changes are good for Espeon.
Yeah, I feel like this is just like net positive. Psychic Solaire, I'm assuming is its Unite move.
Yeah.
Okay. 12-second. Yeah, seems good.
Going down to 100 seconds for your Unite move is huge. Like, that is a very big change. Especially on something like an attacker like Espeon.
Yeah, it seems... I haven't played with a single one of the evolutions, so it's cool to see all of them essentially in the game like this. It's really, really cool.
We're waiting for Umbreon to come and be a support Pokemon.
Yeah, and like obviously it's going to be, right?
Yep.
Like if it's not support, then they did something wrong.
I'm excited to see how many unique ways they could still use Swift. Because
elaborate.
So Eevee, all the Eevees for the Glaceon, Sylveon, Espeon, they all have Swift.
Okay.
They all do something different with Swift. So,
okay.
and the Swift coordinates with the rest of the kit for the evolution. So because Sylveon's very straightforward, pushing damage out in front of it all the time, your Swift shoots your stars forward in a line. And you can kind of side strafe back and forth to kind of aim where they're going. I don't play much Espeon, but I know it's different because I get hit with it a lot.
I know it's different because it kills me.
It doesn't kill me, but it hits me a ton. But the Glaceon one actually is just like an empowered auto attack boost.
Okay.
So
seems
when you
really cool.
when you activate it on Glaceon, because Glaceon is very auto attack focused, whenever you throw out an auto attack, it'll throw out a star.
Got it. Okay.
And on your boosted attack, it throws out 2.
Okay.
And so I'm excited to see how they utilize Swift on other Eevees.
Yeah, because right now we have
3.
Sylveon, Glaceon, Espeon, right?
Yep, that's it.
Give me Flareon.
I want Umbreon.
Make Flareon good.
Like in my head how I view it, because right now they've all been attackers. Like I imagine like Jolteon being the speedster, Vaporeon and Umbreon both being support. Leafeon can be an attacker, I don't care. And then Flareon's like the all-rounder in my head.
Yep, that makes sense. So then
you're frozen again.
How about now? Am I still frozen?
You're kinda jittery. You're back.
Okay.
Did you say anything?
This brings us no. Yeah.
Cool.
Duraludon, Dragon Tail, time between uses goes from 1.1 seconds to 2 seconds.
I think that's just like they wanted to make it a flat number.
Okay. And I feel like 2 is better than 1. I don't know.
So it actually is a kind of a slight nerf because you can't just spam double Dragon Tail like bam bam.
Got it.
Now it's like bam bam, because that's how you get away from people, and so you'll shoot it out, it'll knock somebody up, and you'll go backwards.
Okay.
Because Duraludon, for all intents and purposes, is the turret Pokemon. When you do flash cannon things, you like lock yourself in place, and you can get increased attack range at the price of not being able to move. Outside of eject button and Dragon Tail.
Okay. Seems fine.
Yeah.
Blissey was by far the best support Pokemon. Its heal's really good. It got a nerf where it's not healing as much.
Yep. this is a good change.
I like the games I've played with Blissey were stupid and obnoxious, and that was a year ago. So for it to basically still do the same thing a year later means that it probably needed to do something. Yeah.
I always compared Blissey to like being the first battle mage, being the first like, here, I can do this thing, but I can also heal you as we're going, so I can just sit here and I can just infinitely battle. I'm never going to die. You can't beat me, kind of thing. This definitely brings it more in line. It's not it's still good. It's not just busted like it was. We talked about Mime. It's its
Mr.
whole
Mime
thing.
got completely reworked. If you're interested in like reading up on it, go check out the patch notes. Tyranitar, a true menace in ranked. T-Tar was too free of a W in non-mirror games. This really doesn't look like it'll be enough to dethrone him, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Watching Jeff play Tyranitar, his response to when he first started playing it is, I'm pressing buttons, I don't know what they're doing, and I'm winning.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. T-Tar, once you got to Tyranitar, it felt a lot like Garchomp. Once you hit your level 9 evolution, you just get to go nuts, right?
Awesome. I love
it's
that.
really hard to stop you. I personally thought T-Tar was a little underwhelming because you can just walk away from it. Like, you don't have to sit there and fight it. When it pops its Unite move, you just walk away. Like,
oh,
what's it gonna do? Like, Ancient Power, it used Ancient Power to get into the fight. It's not gonna be able to use it to chase one person down because it wants to be in the middle of the fight.
Oh, that's so funny. What are you kids doing over there? Nothing.
It's probably that's part of the reason why I liked the Stone Edge Sand Tomb build so much. I was able to get into fights, and if they tried to walk away, Sand Tomb will bring them back to me.
Like, no, stop it. Get back over here.
Like, you do a giant AoE cone with Stone Edge when you get to its third stack. Sand Tomb deals bonus damage, and you can pull people in and out. I think that's why I preferred that moveset more than the Dark Pulse Ancient Power. But I do agree, like, a really talented T-Tar player could 1v9 a game with Dark Pulse Ancient Power.
Tyrannical Rampage, I'm assuming, is its Unite move.
Yes.
It was the one that has, like, an auto-assassinate on it, is that right?
So when Tyrannical Rampage gets activated, all opposing Pokemon get this little indicator on your HP bar.
Okay.
If your HP, just your base HP, your green bar, was ever to fall below that number and you get hit by a move from Tyranitar while Tyrannical Rampage is still going, it's an auto execute.
Awesome.
Granted, it was like 15% of your HP, so unless you were just like super tanky for some reason, like at 15% HP, most of the time you were going down because Tyranitar's dealing true damage to you anyway.
Awesome. I love that.
So the execute on Tyrannical Rampage isn't that big a deal. It's still good, but it helps you get through.
But it's not the reason to play T-Tar.
Yeah, like Dark Pulse and Ancient Power were the reason you were winning your games most of the time.
Got it. Hoopa changes basic attack to physical damage.
That's a big change. That's really good, actually.
Crustle had a change to Stealth Rock, saying that there was a bug that caused it to deal extra damage. It can also no longer crit.
Yep. That's a good change, too.
Lucario had a power-up punch fix bug that caused the dash to be shorter than intended when fully charged. Okay.
So this is hilarious. I want to talk about this one in particular because there's a story behind how this all came to be.
Okay.
So they had said that they had changed Power-Up Punch to begin with. Mm-hmm. Power-Up Punch, before the change, you would go through to the other side of the target. So you would charge it up, hit your target, and you would pop up on the other side. When they introduced the Lucario changes, I believe it was patch 6.1.6, they didn't specify that a change had happened, but we took it as a change all the same because your power-up punch stopped you in front of your target instead of behind it.
Okay.
And so now you can go through your targets again, I believe. I believe that's what this is saying. I haven't played Lucario in a very long time. But now I believe your power-up punches either go the full distance now, or they won't, or at least it won't stop you short, like it had been doing.
Okay.
So Lucario's still fine. It's not Serena, but it's still fine.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of the rundown of that.
Held item changes here. Leftovers, still probably bad, but it's way more than it was.
I still wouldn't play it.
Assault Vest, still probably bad.
Yep.
Rocky Helmet's still probably bad.
Yep.
Float Stone.
I touched on this about the out-of-movement combat speed for the new map and things like that. Float Stone is probably playable on your Pokemon that you're not trying to be bulky on.
Okay.
If you're trying to either do invading jungle strats, which those are a thing in this map, if you want to try and get across the map, go 5 yellow and Float Stone. You'll get there pretty dang quick. Like there were already invading junglers in Remote Stadium, Greedent, Crustle, doing things like that. You can now probably play these on like your Talonflame, your Zeraora, or other speedsters, and actually just be a bully and take stuff from your opponents.
Okay.
You'll probably have to run X speed to to consistently get there and do that all the time. But overall, it's a good change.
And then miscellaneous achievement missions have been added. Eos energy gained from battle reflects your activity in battle rather than winning or losing. Spawn healing reduced, now 15% of max HP per half second. What does that mean?
So, going back to Hoopa. The reason Hoopa was such a menace was because Hoopa could send you back to spawn, and then you could come back on a cooldown using the hyperspace hole. I don't know if I remember talking about that a little bit, but that's how that worked. And so you could easily heal up to full in a very short amount of time and then hyperspace hole back very quickly. Like it took a couple seconds at most if you were really low. What this change does is if you are low, you won't be full HP by the time you want to go back with hyperspace hole.
Okay.
This is a good thing because multiple people can take the hyperspace hole at a time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you could send your entire team away to be healed, yourself included, and then come back at full HP after a small fight skirmish broke out, while your opponents are stuck at whatever HP they were after the fight.
Got it.
And
okay, so yeah, that seems really good.
Yeah, that's it. It sucks right now because we're not used to it. But the more like you get into the ranked play, the more we see competitive, the bigger of a change it'll be. We won't see Hoopa like spamming hyperspace hole to go back as often, but it'll still be a thing.
Okay.
The other big change is the Eos energy. I talked about how the gacha system sucked. I hate that system, but now the fact that you can just earn energy so quickly by just playing the game. I have the 1x energy booster on, and I think I can get 100 to 200 energy in a game.
And how much is a roll?
A roll is 100 energy.
Okay.
So if you've been playing the game consistently, you probably have a lot of these extra energy tanks and energy multipliers in your inventory. Use them, because that's how you're going to get extra rolls.
Got it. Okay.
And that's the patch notes for the most part.
That's Arena. I mean, that's Unite.
What
is
What's up?
Do we have like list of Pokemon that are coming? There's a lot that have been rumored, but have any actually been confirmed?
We know Scizor, Dodrio are coming. Dodrio is coming, I believe, September 15th.
Yes.
And then Scizor is the 29th.
Yep.
Those are the big two that we know that are coming because they're on the test server. There's been some rumors that we're getting maybe like there's like someone posted something like there's a bunny and a clover, and like there's somebody who's data mined who's known for leaking this stuff early. There's people thinking we're getting Lopunny to the game. There's people thinking that we're getting maybe a luck based Pokemon based on the clover. So there's some cool stuff coming down the pipeline again for October.
Do we know anything about like Clefable?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Evidently, it was in the original trailer of the game.
Yes, that one was. Yes, that is. Yes, but
And,
it
like,
never made it
just
to.
never been released.
Yeah, it just never made it to the game.
Huh. Okay. Oh, it was. That's so weird.
What I think happened was Clefable got scrapped.
Probably for Wigglytuff.
Maybe for Wigglytuff, maybe for Blissey down the line.
So looking here at the original roster, like I have the video pulled up and just paused here. We have Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Pikachu.
Yep.
Which have all been added. Blastoise was not there on release though.
Nope, it was not.
Machamp, Gengar, Lucario, Snorlax, Talonflame, all of those are available, right?
Yep, they were all available.
And then, Clefable as well.
Yep.
So, Blastoise wasn't immediately available. Clefable still is not in the game.
What they might have done was they might have cut Clefable for specifically Eldegoss to tie into Sword and Shield.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That would be my guess.
Huh. Very, very cool.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to know about Unite while I'm here?
How do I get good?
Lots of practice.
That's fair. And if I don't have that,
good luck. I play Unite. I at least play almost daily. Like I'm going to be on for some amount of time every night or during the day, depending on when I'm home. If you ever want to play, just let me know.
Oh, of course.
That invite goes to everybody. I don't care what rank you are. I'll play casual. I'll play ranked. I don't care either way. Like I'm not super picky about it.
Carl just wants to play.
Yeah, I just want to grind the game. Right now, I'm trying to figure out the optimal jungle pathings plus lane pathings for the new map. That is my current project. We were doing that a little bit.
I'm genuinely surprised it hasn't already been figured out. But
because there is so much going on all the time.
Okay.
In that game. So the Thea Sky Ruins added extra experience camps, and they're all spread out. And their timers are so they're set up to the point where there's always something to fight over somewhere.
Okay.
And so trying to find the optimal route is going to be hard because you want to make sure you're getting your stuff done at the certain times to be at the next spot when it spawns. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I'll take you through the jungle route for Remote Stadium here, and then I'll take you through what the current jungle routes for Thea look like. So Remote Stadium, you would do your Lillipup right in front of you.
Yep.
And then you would have your buffs. And then you would have core fishes on the backside near the center, right?
Yep.
So you would do Lillipup, wait till whatever 9:45, do whatever buff your Lillipup was next to, go do your core fishes, head bottom or top, right?
Okay.
So now in the Thea Sky Ruins, you have Xatu where the Lillipup was, but you have ball toys in between the buffs and Xatu.
Okay.
So now what can happen is you'll take Xatu, the ball toys will spawn while you're taking Xatu, and your laners can help out with either buff or taking the ball toys. And it affects how timing works and how you're clearing things, because they're all level 2, and then you have a Selgor and a Scavalier to go take and clear that out. And by the time you're done with that full clear, you should be heading bottom to top, but you also have to be ready to go take the center stuff in the middle, because that all spawns pretty early now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the center has 4 Baltoy and a group of Alterias of Altaria and Swablu in the center. That's worth a ton of experience if you can get it.
Okay.
And so it becomes this balancing act of, I need to clear my jungle, but I also need to clear the center area. So I'm probably going to have to either A, ignore my lane, or B, ignore one of my camps.
Got it.
Which is where the optimal clearing path comes in. If your laners take ball toys or help you with the buff, you get to clear things faster, you get to move around the map faster, you have more time to help the lanes out.
Got it.
And that's kind of where we're at this point, is everyone's trying to figure out what buffs are good, what rotations need to happen. Do we need to rotate at all? Are we wanting the team fight hard around Rayquaza? Are we wanting to just like stop Rayquaza from happening? The early consensus is Regieleki is really, really good. Who knew? It even transferred over from VGC.
Hooray!
The bottom Regi trios are fine. They're not must-haves like Dreadnought was. Dreadnought was a big boost of experience, and that was what made Dreadnought great compared to Rotom, because Rotom wasn't that immediate payoff. Well, now the experience, I think, is less from the Regi trio than Dreadnought was, but you get buffs instead, depending on which Regi trio it is. And so it's not always worth it to fight over that Regi. If it's like Regirock, they're going to get bonus defense. Who cares?
Yeah, like
cool story, bro. You got the Reg Ice. You have extra HP recovery. We're going to go take the Regieleki up top and get some points in.
Yeah,
because scoring is more important in this game now than it was in Zapdos games. There's no coin flip. I'm going to go put 500 points in. It's, I lost Rayquaza. Now I need to go try to score. Hopefully they're not respawning. Because if they're already on that point, it's going to be much harder for us to get that score in, because they can take that shield off of us pretty quickly.
Got it. Okay.
So that's the balancing game right now, is trying to figure out how the map works, like rotation-wise, what objectives we need to focus on, and what's the optimal time to like try and push scores, try and get ahead. You want to try and snowball these games as hard as possible, because the farther you are ahead, the less they're going to be able to come back with Rayquaza, if they even get it.
Huh.
You look confused.
It's a lot to try to learn a game when it's been so long since I've played it, and there's so much. I will say
this is the perfect time to pick it back up, because everybody's doing that. Everybody's learning the map. Everybody's learning the timers. The game is wide open, just like it was when it first started.
Got it. I don't know. My head hurts.
I wouldn't do it tonight, but maybe sometime later.
No, my plan tonight is eat, go to bed.
Yep.
But
okay.
I think it's about time we get out of here. This has been
are we done here?
Riveting. I think so. My head hurts.
Okay, get us on out of here, bub.
All right. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you're listening over on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us your thoughts on the newest Unite patch, all that good stuff. Tell us why I should get back into the game, and tell Carl he's amazing at the game, all that good stuff. If you're not listening on YouTube, if you're listening over on one of the audio platforms, you can, of course, check out the video stuff over on the YouTube as well, and make sure you give us a 5-star rating over there on all those platforms. It really does help us out, push us into the algorithm, all that good stuff. You can follow us over on Twitter at LR Lessons, myself at Mr. Missouri25, Carlos at MusicalVGC. You can also follow us over on Twitch at Mr. Missouri25 and at Musical. Past that, you can come and join our community Discord, where you can get to hang out with everyone and have a wonderful good time and all that good stuff. Check out the website at lrlessons.com. While you're there, make sure you go ahead and check out the merch page, pick you up some fantastic sweet merch. And if that's not your kind of thing, but you still want to keep us, support us and keep our lights on, you can do that over at Anchor for as little as 20 or 25 cents an episode with Anchor support. So
yep,
I think that's everything. I think I nailed that on the first try. I'm going to bed.
That is fine.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.